Okay, so I have another 13-inch TV VCR. This time it is a Toshiba, and we'll flip it around and get the model number in just a moment, but this thing has got some use on it. Possibly rode hard and put away wet a couple of times. Take a look at the back of this thing. It is just, yeah, it needs a serious decontamination. There is the model number just barely hanging on, MV13J3. And look at that, September 1999 is the date. Antenna input. No audio or video inputs on the back, at least. And once again, they did put them up front with an earphone jack. How convenient is that? Haven't powered it up yet. I don't know what's going to happen. I do not believe, let's turn the light on. No, there is no tape in this unit like the other one I did just a few moments ago. Okay, power has been applied. I did see a bump in the current, so we'll go ahead and hit the very used power button. And I get nothing. There is the current. That tactile switch. That one feels like a switch. Very soft. Wonder what happened to this thing. Yeah, just a very soft feeling switch and no power. Maybe the VCR is okay on this one. I don't know. Yeah, let's go ahead and pull it apart, see what it looks like inside. Okay, well, here is the view inside the 13-inch Toshiba. And the first thing I see that I really don't like is the yoke connector, or the yoke wires, are actually touching the high voltage exit from the flyback transformer. And if that thing were to ever arc, that would be disastrous, because it would send a very high EMF spike through the unit. These should have been routed away like that, but they weren't. And everything else seems to look okay. Oh, look at that, Zilog. Wonder if that's the same Zilog bob that made the Anatech blue ESR tester that I use. I love that thing. It is so freaking awesome. Looking down here, there is the VCR chassis up in there. A bunch of ribbon cables. You can see the upper and lower cylinders over there. And some instructions on how to get this thing apart. There you go. Read it if you need to. Tells you to push, lock switch, frame, deck, and holder chassis. So let's go ahead and pull this thing apart even further. One moment. Okay, well, there are the switches for the front panel, and they look like they've all been pushed back as far as I can tell. And there is something just laying here. Christopher Lee Phyllis. What? Maybe it was a tape in the sticker. Whoops. May have come off of it at some time. Not quite sure. So as you can see, some of the buttons look okay. Get this in view for you. And these over here have, yeah, that's not good. Let's get a closer view for you. Loose, loose, loose. Wow. Loose, loose. What about these over here? That one's okay. And can I get my finger in there without blocking the camera? Yeah, that one's okay. So these four are okay. And virtually every other switch has been broken off of the circuit board. That might be the whole problem. Sorry about that. Yeah. Yeah, that shouldn't be. Okay, well, disassembly coming up. One moment. Okay, so I have the circuit board out of the frame, and I do have the mechanism loose. It's just sitting here, so I can go ahead and remove that. And then we can take a look at the chassis for the VCR. You can see there is a mode select switch. Since I'm this deep into it already, I'm probably going to go ahead and service that just because I'm here. And we'll take a look at the bottom of the unit where the switches actually solder onto the circuit board. And you know what? One moment, I'm going to go into macro zoom mode, and I have to pause it to put it in the macro mode. All right, well, there is the power switch. And it's no wonder it didn't work, because the two mounting tabs on the back side right here are completely broken loose, and these are the actual switch contact leads. And then over to the channel up switch, it's in, well, if I can hold that still, virtually, whoops, wrong switch. Look at that. Same boat. Next switch is the channel down, exactly the same, and taking on water quickly. This one appears that one of the two leads, the one on this side, is still connected, but this one is broken loose. VR up and VR YR up, YR down, I'm not sure. Broken loose. And then we're over to the good, I'm going to use finger quotes, good switches. Cracked connections are on that one. Cracked connections on that one. And cracked connections on that one. And then remote receiver. And, oh, these are LEDs. Even a cracked connection on the LED right here. What has happened to this thing? Was it like off-roading for days and days? I haven't seen any damage like that in quite a while. A lot of years. Well, I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of blobs of fresh solder on these switches and see if it brings this thing back to life. Unfortunately, it's about a 30-minute disassembly job just to get to where we are right now. So let me get the soldering iron warmed up, and we'll, bigger the glob, the better the job, solder these switches back on. Okay, here we go. I'm going to add solder to the supports first. Then I'm going to push the switch firmly against the circuit board and let the solder cool. And then I'll add solder to the second support, and so on and so forth. And yep, that one's good. I thought it was broken off for a minute. So I'm going to speed the rest of it up. All right, next I want to test the integrity of the switches. So I got a voltmeter connected here on the continuity scale, and I get 0 ohms when I short the leads together right there. So what I want to do is just very lightly try to attach the leads and press the button, and that's perfect. And that's not. And I don't think I'm shorting. I might be touching the leads. Let's put it back here. That switch might need a bit of deoxit. It's probably going to be okay. They've definitely seen better days. Sometimes you can blast some deoxit D5 in there and actually clean the contacts just a tad. That one's definitely bad. It's dancing all over the place. Maybe it just hasn't been used in a while. They might just need a bit of exercise. No, I think these were the ones that were okay. Or not. Well, let's just try to blast some deoxit in there and work the switches and see if they might want to come back to life. Okay, all the switches have been blasted with deoxit D5. Good. This is the one that wanted to short out last time. Zero. Good. I mean, I'm okay with a couple of ohms. I'm not okay with like 500 ohms. I should have just left that one connected there. They're common. 0, 2 ohms, 1 ohm, 0, 0, 0. Okay, good. And we'll just hold this on there. 0. Okay. 3 ohms. 9, 2, 1. Okay, I'm happy with that. One ohm, good. 0, 0, perfectly happy with those. And a couple left, and they are common, so that's good. One ohm, good. And 1 ohm. Okay, happy with that. Well, let's clean that mode select switch next, which basically lives right there. Let's zoom in on it just a little bit. Now, as I recall, on these mode select switches, you cannot use acetone because it's made by Samsung. And for some reason, Samsung used that kind of plastic that acetone will eat. So the first thing I want to do is just wipe off the existing grease that might be in this. And wow, it's looking better already. Man, this thing was a mess. I'm not sure what kind of grease they used in it, but it was not happy grease, I can tell you that. So looking better already. Going to hit it with a couple more cotton swabs and we'll add the alcohol to it. And we'll get this switch good and drunk, and then it should be just fine. All right, so happy with that at least. And let's go ahead and just try to clean these contacts. Oh yeah, much better. Yeah, a little piece of crud stuck up in there, but don't be stuck up. I think it'll be okay. And I think I will go ahead and hit it with the stainless toothbrush just to help clean those contacts a little bit. We'll hit it with a bit of denatured alcohol. Make sure everything's nice and shiny. Okay, I like it. A little bit of crud stuck on the bottom, but I think it'll be okay. That looks good. Time for a bit of dielectric grease. Get a good glob. Dab it around in here. And just we'll smear it and make sure all the contact surfaces are covered. Okay, I'm good with that. And a tiny bit more right here. Glob up the contacts, really good. Snap it back together. Then you just want to run it around a bunch of times. That's going to help distribute the grease on the inside of the switch. And if there's a little cotton swab fiber in there, it's going to basically move it out of the way. Never had issues with these things. Doing this in 40 plus years. Okay, I like the feel of that. So line up that arrow with that arrow right there. That's going to be close enough right there. Okay, I think let's put this thing back together. I think I will test or check the belt on the bottom of the chassis. Let's get it into view for you here. And there is the capstan belt. Let me zoom out. It's got a lot of grip, but you can tell it's been sitting in that position for a long time because of the outgassing from the belt. But yeah, it's still got a ton of torque. But I think I will give it the acetone treatment just because I'm in here right now. Okay, so I've got a paper towel with some acetone on it. And I'm just going to drag the belt through the paper towel, and it's going to clean off all the contaminants. And we will probably have to do this 3 or 4 or 6 or 19 times. But you can see how much crud it got off. This is going to help the belt grip better. It's removing the glaze from the outside of the belt. And yes, it feels much better already. It probably would have been okay, but yeah, it's much grippier, and you can see the amount of crud that came off on the first 2 and the last 2 passes. Next, I'm going to bring this back into view for you there. I'm going to get a cotton swab. I'm going to soak it with acetone. And I just want to clean off the grooves in the pulleys right here. That's going to help it grip even better. Okay, good with that. So that's how much it got off so far. Another dip in acetone. And I like that. We'll pop the belt back on it. Oh, it's got way more torque than it had previously. So one of the things I like to do once I put the belt back on it, because I have touched it, I might have introduced a little bit of contaminants to it. And I'm just going to wipe off the two surfaces that actually touch the pulleys. Yeah, very, very good. Lots of torque now. Okay, let's throw this thing back together and see if soldering the switches, hitting them with deoxit, and cleaning the mode select switch and the belt made any kind of a difference. One moment. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to take a look at the solder connections on the mode select switch, because if one of the key solder points came loose, it could definitely cause an issue. And if you take a look at that ground solder connection right there, it's got a ring completely around it. The C has pretty much of a ring, the B a little bit, and the A a little bit. So I'm just going to go ahead and resolder all of those connections just to make sure that it has a good connection to the microprocessor, because that's how it knows where the mechanism actually is. So I think that's going to be much, much better. And as always, it's got a couple of voltage regulators over somewhere here, maybe somewhere else. There they are, right there. And let's get focus on those. There we go. Now these are mounted on heat sinks, so anytime I see a semiconductor mounted on a heat sink, I'd like to resolder it, just because of thermal expansion and contraction, because the aluminum heatsink tends to expand and contract at a different rate than the circuit board and the actual component. And then over here is another IC regulator, and it looks perfectly fine, but I'm going to hit it with some solder just because I'm here anyhow. Why not, you know? And I'll take a quick look at the rest of the board, see if I see anything, and if not, you'll see this thing put back together. They don't look super bad, but these are the rear rotation and tape end, tape supply sensors. So that is the emitter right there, and that runs over to somewhere over here. Got to get my bearings to there. And it says right there, that is the start sensor, just because it stands up so high. And once again, I'm here, so why not do it? And then this one over here is the end sensor. And it's under this glass epoxy tape. So hopefully you can see that. We'll just hit it with some solder, and we'll fold the tape back over it to be safe. And then next, there is a Samsung microprocessor. And then just away from that is the supply reel sensor. Once again, I'm here. It only takes a few seconds. Why not? And then over here is going to be the take-up sensor. There it is, take-up reel sensor. And there it is. I mean, it takes such a short amount of time to do these tiny little things, and it might result in many, many more years of life out of this unit. All right, so I went ahead and cleaned the heads, the upper cylinder, the lower cylinder. This thing's had some use. There's no doubt about that. But got all the oxidation off of the upper and lower cylinder. I did go ahead and clean the audio control erase head. Maybe I can get a better view here. The pinch roller, the capstan shaft, the exit guide, the angle guides. What is that? One moment. Okay, much, much better now. Something was really caked onto that guy. So yeah, all clean. Clean the full erase head, the back tension arm, the input guide right there. Everything is good. Clean the pinch roller. It looks like the day that it was born at this point. Okay. Yeah, let's put this thing back together now, and hopefully all that work is not in vain. Okay, I do have the VCR chassis back in the television chassis. Everything is connected, and I did go ahead and reroute the yoke leads a little bit farther away from the flyback transformer, just in case it wanted to arc. It will help it last many, many more days, hopefully months, years, or decades. I did not clean the frame yet, but I did clean the door while I had this thing apart. So I'm going to go ahead and get the power cord, which definitely needs to be cleaned as well. And I'm going to go ahead and plug it into my isolation transformer here. And we'll power this thing on. And I see just a tiny bit of current draw, which means the power supply did start. We'll hit the power button and see what happens. Oh, nothing happens. No. Oh, no. Shoot. All that work for nothing. Well, I'm going to have to give the customer an estimate at this point, because basically if I go over like 2 hours, I want to give them an estimate, see if they want to go ahead and get it repaired or not. So it's going to require more troubleshooting. Oh, doggone it. I thought for sure those broken buttons were going to take care of it. This is what connects the VCR chassis down to the, up to the main TV chassis. I guess I can go ahead and just really quickly measure some voltages. I see a 6 volt and maybe a 9 volt on there. MOCON, oh, probably remote control. 13 volt D ground. So yeah, well, let's measure the voltages. Maybe it's got a maybe there's a high ESR cap over here in the power supply somewhere. After all, they did use Samoa caps. Samoa, yeah, good. Well, I got the voltmeter sitting right here. I'm going to try to do this freehand like Pine Hollow does. So 6 volts. And I do see 6.068 volts right there. And then that should be 9 volts, I believe. Oh, wait, whoops, sorry, my bad. That one is 9 volts, and I get 8.96. And then way down here is labeled 13 volts, and I get 18. But what I didn't notice, and I should have, is, oh, come on. See if I can get zoomed down in there just a tad bit. Let's turn the light on. R813 is totally corroded. C108 is corroded. Did this thing get some water intrusion into it? Possibly. Because that is not beneficial to the life of this unit. What is that? Q801 right there. Let me see if I can get a different angle on it, possibly. Move a couple of things out of the way. Oh, geez. Oh my gosh, that is corroded on that lead. Should have done a very good visual inspection first. Yeah, I'm betting there's going to be some kind of an issue over here on the switch mode power supply. It is making voltage, but I'm betting that's going to be a problem. Doggone it. And then probably somebody just was jamming the switches in this thing because it just wouldn't turn on. I don't know. So I definitely think at this point I'm going to give the customer an estimate. There might be a part 2 on this. There might not. I'm not sure. But normally I try to invest like maybe up to 2 hours. And then I just charge them for 1 because I do this in my spare time. But it's going to be a little more comprehensive than I had originally thought. Well, I thought it was over, and then I pressed the stop eject for 3 seconds just in case it was in the child lock mode. And then look at that, it actually powered on. And I hear sound. And I see something on the screen. Wow, the speaker on this thing is spanked. Wow, and the picture tube is spanked as well. Oh my goodness. One moment while I switch over to Pro Video to get rid of that band in the screen. And the picture might be washed out because I have the shutter speed set at 1/30th of a second, but it is actually working. But the speaker is spanked. I mean, that's what it sounds like. It's absolutely terrible. And the picture tube is extremely soft. That's the focus on it. Well, let's grab a tape. See if the VCR actually plays. Oh, come on, baby. And no, it does not. Did I plug the loading motor back in? And the question to your answer? Nope, I did not plug it back in. I'm not sure if that's going to focus or not, but nope. My bad. We're all human. We all fall short. But yeah, there is the connector right there for the loading motor. And as you can see, it is not connected. So, one moment, hoping for better results. Well, I did manage to replug the loading motor in without disassembling the complete unit. As you can see, come on, focus. There we go. And I've got it just basically laying down on its face right now so I can gain access to where the loading motor actually connects. There you go, it is plugged in. Let's try this again. Okay, well, yeah, it's still washed out, but let's go ahead and power this thing back on. I did see a bump. That means the switching power supply did start. And we'll hit the power button. Oh, look at that. It ejected on its own. That is excellent. Power on. It did power on. It did degauss. You can see the meter still swinging there. Just a moment. And we'll take a look at the very, very weak picture tube. This thing has got some hours on it. All right, is it going to play? Place your bets. Place your bets. Look at that. It loads. It sounds okay. And it's actually playing. It's doing auto tracking. Man, this picture tube is baked. As Shango would say, baked. Sound? I'm going to have to find a speaker for this thing. That sounds absolutely terrible. Oh, it's used up. But look at that actually playing. Fast forward, and it shut off. Power back on. Play. There it is, fast forwarding. Does it have high speed? Yes, it does. High speed fast forward. Okay, so the VCR does actually work. I think we're still having some mechanical switch issues, but I think once they become exercised, it will be okay. But I've got to do something about that speaker. I'm not sure what. Will it play a 6-hour tape? It does give it back. That's a definite bonus. 6-hour tape going in here. Man, the picture tube on this thing is weak. Baked. Shango, once again, baked. Okay. It does actually auto track, or still trying. and that's what the sound sounds like. That's terrible. Yeah, that sounds terrible. I've got to find a speaker for this thing somehow. Waiting for the volume to come down. Waiting. 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 Okay, there it is. Well, at least we got the majority of the thing working. Once again, I apologize for the bright video, but I have this thing in the Pro mode with 1/30th of a second shutter speed, so I don't get that band in the picture from the CRT. Stop. Eject. All right, well, everything but the speaker is working perfectly. Well, let me see if I can find something to shove back into this thing. I'm not quite sure what. I may have to order something and either, I don't know, glue it, hot glue, tape, silicone, I don't know. Only time will tell. All right, so I went ahead and I pulled the speaker out of it. And I'm just going to clip my microphone actually onto the frame of the speaker, if that's even possible. And then I'm just going to move this, if I can gain access to it. Yeah, let's put the microphone where the leads are. You gonna stay? Oh no. Okay, we'll clip it right there. Okay, now listen to this when I move the cone in and out. You hear that? You have to hear it because I see it on the level display. It's like it's full of sand. That's why it sounds so crappy. Let's get the microphone back where it should be. But yeah, that's why it sounds bad. So I need to find another one of these speakers. 8 ohm, 2.5 watt. Shouldn't be too terribly hard to find a speaker about this size, maybe on Amazon or one of the eBay something websites. I don't know. We'll see. Check, check, check. 1, 2, 3. Toshiba 13-inch TV-VCR. Audio sync. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Inside view. I should probably normalize after I do that. Okay, keypad view. Check, okay, check, check. Let's put this thing back together now. Okay, after cleaning, check, check, check. After cleaning the exit guide. All right, reassembled. All right, this is going to end this video. Thank you for watching. Follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at NorCal715. Email me, NorCal715videos@gmail.com. Remember, if you want to contact me, please just leave me a comment in one of the videos. I try to respond when I have time. Remember, with your help, we can try, and I emphasize try, to keep these things out of the e-waste facility, we can try to get these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everyone, thank you for making it to the end of this possibly 1 or 2 or more part repair. Everyone have a great day. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, so alternate ending with it maybe working. I'm not sure. Check, check, check. Okay, loading motor reconnected. All right, is this the ending? Possibly. Recording. Pro video. Check, check, check.